Hey, welcome back. All right, so I say welcome back because I sent out more than one notice that there is a video lecture up for the very first unit about line. And in that, it's a pre-recorded. It was recorded a while back. There's two reasons. It's because Tuesday we didn't meet at the college, but what that's going to lead to is when we come to the Thanksgiving break, you have a week off of this class fully. Like there's no like staggering, like we meet a Tuesday, then a Thursday, blah, blah. We just do full weeks. It'll become clear. But all the information is there for you in that first lecture where I go over the course and then I go over line and then I show you how to do stuff. It's all there except for one assignment, which I'll go over today. Some of the things I just want to make sure everybody's clear about, but not like don't freak out about, is the time expectations, which is listed. You're taking an 8-week 3-credit course, which is think of the 16-week course, but in half the time. So when we meet on a Tuesday, that would be a normal 1 week. When we meet on a Thursday, it'd be a 1 week. Don't worry. Don't flip out. The assignments are fairly repetitive. And so once you start doing them, you'll be like, oh, I know what to do. Do this, do that, do the other thing, and I can get them done. You can do it. Tens of students have passed this class in the 8-week and done just great. So don't worry, but make sure you schedule your time. Don't think it's like, oh, it's only 8 weeks, but it's like a normal course. No, it's condensed, so it's twice as strong. You know, think of it like that. It's twice as strong when we talk about condensed. The other one is the general rubric. Just so you're double checking, you understand this bottom part. There are discussions for some of the assignments where you look at other students' stuff and then you respond to it to 2 students. That's a whole grade. So like if you don't do it, if you did A work, you're going to get a B. And then no matter what, late assignments, get another grade down. So if you turned it in late, if it's A work, it's going to get a B. It's very important to be on time because, as I probably stated in the other one, graphic design is a time-based career. You have deadlines. If you miss deadlines, not only could you get fired, other people lose money, your company loses money, your client loses money. It's just not like, oh, it was late, it's okay. No, a lot goes on the shoulders of the designer when you're designing promotional materials for a product that launches on a certain day. And if you don't have it done and they don't have the materials, oh my God, like that's a huge things can happen. So I'm pretty big on that late assignments thing. And then late assignments after 7 days, well, 7 days late, man. I don't know what you're doing. So just keep that in mind. So keep that in mind. Now, I went over line on Tuesday. It's in the recording. Please watch the recording if you haven't watched the recording. It's all about line and understanding line as an element. One thing I didn't go over, which I'm going to go over right now, and don't mind, like my system looks a little bit different than yours. You should only see week 1. And then if we go to week 1, part 1 line, and you can see, if you haven't watched the video lecture, here it is. It's like right there, week 1, part 1 line, video lecture, week 1, part 1. And then I will relaunch. I mean, the people who are viewing now and in class, but I'll put it up before the end of the day in part 2, but I digress on that. So the first thing I want to talk about is design practice. This was a newer assignment added. Design practice is all about all of you getting to know some other programs a little bit better. So you're going to be using Illustrator and InDesign day to day, okay? And you need to use them, and you can't be scared to use them, and you need to discover them. Sometimes you might be in the Illustrator class, you might be in an InDesign class right now, you might be, but the more practice you get, the more times you're opening this stuff, the better you're going to do at it. So, that's why I have these. and they're fairly simple. I'm going to run through this one with you right now. So if I click here, so you read through, and all you're going to do is you're putting a piece together in Illustrator. So I'm going to click on this link. It brings me here. All right. I'm going to donate open. You need to download this to your computer. And it's going to go beep, boop, boop, beep, boop, 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 all through and come on down to your computer. And what you're downloading is a zip file. You should understand zip files. From here on out in your life, the zip file. And it's right here. If you have a Mac, you double click. If you have a PC, you right click and hit extract all. Both of these operations, what will happen is it will create a brand new folder. Go to that new folder that it's created and you can open that up. And then here I have David Carson AI. That's an Illustrator file. And then the links are all the images used within that file. This is how we run when we do any type of work. We have our design file, and then we have what are called links to images and other work. And all I'm going to do, you can right click and open with, or I can double click because it's AI, and it's going to open up in Illustrator. Now, what I want you to do is just go over to layers. And in this layers, each one of these layers is labeled with what's on this page. And so all you need to do is move everything into place. Now, what I would do is don't put in the background first, because you'll cover up your little cheat sheet. Put in everything from the top down and just place them in. So all you have to do is here are all the and I want perfection. Like, this isn't just like that's close enough, you know. Hey, it's kind of close, see? No. We're graphic designers. We're all about perfection. I'm going to get it on there as good as I can. And I'm going to zoom back out, and I'll get this text in there. And all I'm doing is grabbing with the select tool and moving over, zooming in, getting that real close. And then you can use your arrow key. Did you know you can use your arrow key on your keyboard to nudge things around? I use the arrow key on my keyboard all the time, constantly. Here, I'm just going to place this image in and make sure it's clicking in even. That's how great this is. When I brought it close to this margin line, it snapped to it, and it shows. And I'm making sure that's perfect. Again, all I'm doing is just placing these images in. These I can go real quick, and then I'm going to zoom in and then make them perfect. Here's how you make them perfect. This is some of the best stuff you can do in Illustrator. And I know I'm kind of going quick, but a lot of it's just moving on. I'm going to make sure it snaps in. And I'll bring this one up. And I'm going to bring this one in to this corner. But I'm not done yet. I've got tools. So under properties, what I'm going to do, I'm going to click and drag through those three images. Now all three are selected. It's just like if you clicked and dragged in a Word document to select more than one word. You click and drag. Right now, only these three images are selected. But what I can do is here, under Align, I go to Properties, and then under Align, I can click this one. This one here says, I will make sure every one of those images is lined up on the baseline, like the lowest line possible. Done. And I actually had them set up. It was good. Now I'm going to click on these three dots, and I'm going to go to Distribute Spacing. What is that going to do? It's going to make sure that the space in between these images is absolutely perfect. I don't have to think about it. I just click it, and it shifted it over. Now, mathematically, this space is equal to this space. Done. Like, didn't even think about it. I use those tools every day. Every day when I'm designing, when I'm helping students working on stuff, I use those tools. Next up, I'm going to put in the white background. Get it lined up perfect. And what you're seeing is the stuff that goes beyond, which we'll talk about in future classes, is the artboard is in black, the margin is in magenta, and the red, that's the bleed. And the bleed is you have anything you want to go off the page goes to bleed. And I'll talk about that in about 3 weeks with you. And I'm going to bring in this background. And the background just settles right in. Perfect. So all I'm having you do is put a puzzle together. All right? It's a puzzle. Getting to learn, seeing layers, maybe trying out the properties, checking things out. Now you need to save this as a PDF for me because you have to upload the PDF. Some programs export as a PDF. Some programs save as a PDF. But watch what I do because I want to make sure you have something turned off that shouldn't be on for this style of saving as a PDF. So I got it all set and I'm confident that everything is perfect. And then you'll see, you don't have to turn anything off because this margin line is a template and that won't show up. So I'm going to go to File, Save As, and you can save it anywhere on your computer that you would like. I'm going to do it to my desktop and I'm going to change this Adobe Illustrator to Adobe PDF. That's all you have to do. Please don't just take your AI file and type in PDF afterwards. It's not 1990 where that worked. That doesn't work anymore. It's still going to mess up. Right here, Format, Adobe PDF. And it's going to save on my desktop. But it's also, well, I have another clicker. It's also, I want you to do a couple things. See this, there's options. This comes up no matter what. And it says view PDF after saving. Make sure that's checked. Because you know what? When you save a PDF of your work for school, you should always double check it before you just throw it up there on Blackboard. Because then you got to type back like, oh, I see there's mistakes you didn't check. Like, it's an easy way to check your work. Now, the other one, there's this third one down. That's in general. A third one down, it marks and bleeds. Make sure nothing is checked on here. Come on, find a seat. We've been rolling. Jump on in. Nothing is checked here. Make sure nothing is checked there. And then I'm going to hit Save PDF. And now it opens my PDF, and you have a perfect little design project. A puzzle, a design puzzle, if you would. So that is what the design practice assignment is. It should take you 15 minutes. So no worries there. But again, the more you're working on projects, the more you're trying stuff out, the better designer you're going to be. And that's what these are about. That's why we do these. And I'm going to close that out. Don't need it. So that is the leftover assignment from Tuesday's lecture, which is posted here, which I didn't talk about, which I'm then talking about now. Easy peasy. So I'll go into this. I won't go into these because I covered off on these and I talked about the book. Let me just say about the book, because I've had this happen. Well, I didn't come to class or I didn't start on assignments because I didn't have the book. You don't need the book. The book is only for one assignment per section. You don't need the book. And if you're really smart with the internet, just look around. See what you find on the internet by doing some smart searches for the book. Wink, wink. Meaning you could probably find it for free on the internet if you're smart. So look around. I don't want to hear like, I didn't have the book, I couldn't start. Huh? I didn't ask you to have the book to start anything. So make sure you do that. And for the book reviews too, all you Miracle Chat GPT users, I don't care what Chat GPT says. The assignment literally says, I want to know what you found interesting in the book. I do not want a synopsis of the chapter. I've read these. I know it. I want to know what you thought about something within the chapter. So, and I'll got ways of checking all that fun stuff too. So, blah, blah, blah. All right. Down note there. All right. Week 1, part 2, shape. All right, start some drawing first. As we stated in the past that I went over. Oh, that's big. Let's change our brush size. That dot, I can zoom in. I'll just start new. That's a point. If I go from one point and I make another point and I join these 2 points, I've now created a line. I talked about that last week, or Tuesday. Sorry, I keep saying last week. You know what I mean. Talked about that on Tuesday. And if I have a point here and a point here, doesn't matter how I get to it, it's still a line. And we call this a geometric line. That's more organic line. The thing is, they don't stop. They don't they end, but they don't close. Now, if I'm working around and I'm like, oh, I got this line, and I end it where the line started, I have now created a shape. I have used line to enclose and finish that off. This is a shape. Sometimes they're called planes as well. So you could, and we're talking like when they talk about the plane, we're talking like, like kind of like this 3D atmosphere where if I put a point here, like point here, and then like I can do a shape and it becomes, almost like a 3D effect. And that's like a plane. But a plane can just be completely flat facing us on a surface. So shape, plane can be considered the exact same thing when you're talking. I don't think anybody's going to bust you, but it's just easier to say a shape. Like, what is that shape for? Let's see that shape. So that, the differences, like when we come into it. And then in the next one, it goes from shape to something else. If you're smart, you probably can guess what that is. So let's check out our presentation. All right, here we are. You guys can download this as well. I'll zoom in. This is kind of like fundamentally almost the same as line. Beyond the definition, the definition, as we just talked about, it is there we go. Shape is a flat enclosed area with 2 dimensions. And that's the big one right here. It's just 2 dimensions. And like lines, they could be geometric, like a line can be perfectly straight, or it can be wiggly, or it can be, jagged. And just like shapes can be the same. We can do I can do a perfect circle, perfect square, or I can get all weird, And these are all shapes, as long as they close and have a place for stuff to fill in. So think of that. It's like a shape is you're creating a filled in space. Shapes can vary in size, proportion, orientation, complexity, but, and this is the big one, they are, if you are an Illustrator user, and you will be, they are the building blocks used to create visual elements. If you've ever taken drawing class, if you ever, there's so many. I've taken the Illustrator course, and it's that very first assignment where you're just making shapes, and then the shapes glued together become something else. That is the fundamental way that artists think. Take things apart into the basic shapes and use those. So that's why shapes are so strong in our we use them so often. It's just the building blocks of what we do. So, all right, let's move up. No. Types of shape, I talked about geometric shapes. They can be precise or organic. Anything that isn't like a defined shape, circle, square, rectangle, like polygon, hexagon, trapezoid, like all those are defined shapes, and that's a geometric shape. Organic shapes can't be defined. They just have a bunch of, though you'd be, I guess a star is a defined shape, whatever. So role in the composition for the design. Structure and form. Shapes define the structure and form of objects within the design. They're used to create recognizable figures and convey visual information. They help with the design structure. They help lead the eye, it's called. They help highlight certain things. They can be used together to create negative space or positive space. Negative space is the space around and between shapes. And then, so it can work in two ways. I can have, this star, and if I filled it in, that would be positive. And if I built, went around it and used the shape within the shape and then filled this in, then that star becomes negative space. And then how do we use that within our design? Shape can also be used with hierarchy and emphasis. I want somebody to look in a certain area, and I can put a big block and like have it say something that I want people to look up in that block, and then the rest of the text is like down here. And then so like people are drawn to the big shape with the text in it. And then that's how we can use a shape for hierarchy and emphasis. Hierarchy is in design, we always need to tell people as designers, what's the most important thing you need to see first? What's second? What's third? We do that in every design project. There's a reason, like we want people to know the name of the movie first, and then look at the actors, and then all that other, then the tagline, and then all that other information they put is really small at the bottom. It's hierarchy. What do we want to see first? So that's just a little extra there. All right. Let's get rid of some of this stuff. All right. Expressive potential. Symbolism. Different shapes can carry different symbolic meaning. For example, a circle may represent unity or eternity, while a triangle might suggest balance or tension. Think about our life and the symbolism of shapes. One, well, yeah. One we got, this one is the one everybody does. Now we're even doing that with our hands. Little heart shape. And I've seen, designers disseminate how that became a heart shape from what our heart really looks like. It's kind of funny, and it's true. A triangle, we talked about a triangle. If I do a yellow triangle, yield or warning. If I do a red octagon, I think it's an octagon, it's a stop sign. So it does affect, like if you put those in designs, people will think about that. Emotion and mood. Shapes can evoke emotions. Sharp, angular shapes convey tension, excitement. Like, wow, that's why back in the day, when you're trying to talk about a sale, what would be the sale item would be like, psh, psh, psh. We do this and be like 25% off, like it's a celebration. And that's just a shape. Or, like if I don't know, like say you're doing something relaxing and you just have like, a nice organic pooly shape and it's like yoga. Like if I put yoga in that sharp shape, you'd be like, wait, what? That doesn't feel good. That's not right. So shapes totally can change the way people think about what they're reading, what they're seeing, how that affects them. So that's the emotion and mood. Application. Shapes are used everywhere in design. It as I talked about twice, like point, most simple thing. You're not gonna really do any awesome design with only points. But points become the lines, which are very expressive. And then the lines can become shapes. Then the shapes become what we kind of define as seeing and understanding more. So it's just the basic, fundamentals of how we work with that. And then balance and harmony. You would use the shapes differently throughout the design to guide people, help them see what you want them to see, create, it says a pleasing composition. And that's just the general composition in general, but it can help deal with that and getting people to understand or see the things that you want them to see in a design. Let's check out these cool examples. All right. Rocky. I know, well, this example is kind of old. It's not old, but it's an awesome example. If you don't know the movie, you haven't seen the movie, there's some point at where the lead character, Rocky Balboa, played by Sylvester Stallone, runs up a set of stairs in Philadelphia and stands at the top of the stairs and puts his arms up. So this design is built only out of shapes. Yet the shapes, the way the shapes are arranged, the way they're set up, tells what is a key scene within the movie. And it's only done with shapes. They didn't take a photo. They didn't have Sylvester, like a big head of his. Like, these are all just shapes. This is a general shape that we understand of a head and arms coming out. These are literally just rectangles. But because they're kind of skewed and offset, we look at those and we think it's stairs. These together create what we could term as a shadow of the figure, which is just a shape running up the stairs. And it's another one I like to get into. Every one of these letters are shapes. Rocky, every letter is literally a shape. We should just start calling letters shapes instead. You break it down even more. So this poster in itself has no lines. All right, if you're gonna be nitpicky with me, this is a box. This is a shape. These are all 3 boxes put together. There's no lines in this design. Just shape. That's all you need. The French Affair. So cool. We're using triangles to lead the eye, to offset things. And it's just triangles. And triangles broken up into smaller triangles, broken up into edge pieces, but are still triangles. And that lead the eye. So we have these triangles up at the top, which the way the images are offset in the triangles has a feeling of broken glass. We have a top triangle here and a bottom triangle here. Though they're cut off, that they will make a triangle. If I would took this triangle and put it here, it'd be the same size. These are equilateral triangles. every side is equal, which means that you can use them forever. This orange and this orange leads us in to the piece. We come up this way, we can come down this way, and then we start looking at the images. Then we see these images in triangles broken up to look like broken glass a little bit, maybe add some tension. And then we go over here, and this triangle points us down to the lead-in to the name of the article. And then we can start reading the article here, which is highlighted in orange, this orange shape, which is the starter. And then we go through and we read our article. All this lead-in stuff is done, built with shape, one triangle, just different sizes, and then offset with image or color. And one of these things that we talk about, that I like to talk about in design, is usage of threes. It sometimes works, it sometimes doesn't, but it's kind of like a guarantee. In here we have a use of three. It's 1, 2, and 3. So these 3 elements in the design help solidify where to go in the design. Just something to talk about, something to think about. I like this piece simply because it's different. Breathless. It's very, I've never seen this movie. I don't know much about it, anything about it really. But the fact that it's like so built around these letters, but the letters are highlighted with these shapes, like that make them almost feel monumental. And the reason we think that is the people, the size of the people. You know what I mean? They're this big, but the letters are this big, twice the height. And then we're signifying it wouldn't be the same if they were just up here floating. You know what I mean? If you just had the letters up there in burgundy and gold, just above, and then a bunch of blanks, it wouldn't be the same as this like kind of thinking monumental idea going on, where you're rising up, rising above, and then here we got this little person dancing up here or something, running with getting shot maybe. Is that a gun in their hand? Another gun in their hand. A stylistic tour de force. But it's all, again, the main theme here that we're looking at is shape. Just big shapes to help us read the name of the movie. I just like the offsets. This is so nice. This next one too, really awesome. It's an ad for binoculars that doesn't have the picture of the person in the woods looking through a pair of binoculars at a beautiful sky. You know, like, no, they did this awesome graphic that like in just shape shows a person using a pair of binoculars. It works so well, and it's so simple, and there's so many things going on. Like, we have this idea, this swooping in from the bottom. Shoo, this hand is swooping in, and then the binoculars here. That weird film that they put on the binoculars that always looks like a little green. Like, what a great idea there. And then a little exaggeration on the outer shape, but binoculars are not always just 2. I think I have a set and they're like a little bit offset for your hands, and so this is showing that offset for the hands, and somebody's focusing, and then here's the center adjustment. You can adjust it, and just the symbolism there, it's really hard to see it. There's a set of lips in there. Really great. And along with these shapes, look how bold they did the text. Just really bold. Nice, bold, and it shapes again. It's just all built on shapes. Nothing but shape. And it turns out to be just beautiful piece. Finally, one of the masters of American graphic design did this Dylan poster. This is a world famous poster by Milton Glaser at Pushpin Studios. And we got shape. All shape again. Now, there's something I'm going to talk about a little later when we talk about the assignment. Well, no, it's not really for this assignment. What I'll talk about in the future is shape not needing the stroke, the outline, which I hate. We'll talk about that in the future. But here, it's all shape. Iconic silhouette of Bob Dylan. If you're from that time, you know about Bob Dylan, who he is. Awesome. You know, like you understand that shit. And his wild hair done in colors, beautiful colors and everything. And then his name was disseminated. These are, you know, I keep saying how letters are shapes. Look what he did. These are just shapes. D-Y-L-A-N. It's a triangle. No, it's an A. It's a triangle and an A. You know, like it doesn't take much for us to recognize and change a shape into a letter in our brains. We're smart people, and it doesn't take much to be able to convey a message like that. So that, my friends, is why shape is so important, why shape is one of the elements of design. Let's talk about your research. I'll do a research again. I'll slowly stop doing the research examples over time. Because once you start doing them, you do them. I'm gonna make sure I'm in my MATC account. Now, I talked about this. Use Google Slides. It's free. These 9 dots, MATC pays for this for you. That's how I want you to do it. And I'm going to go into my drive. And I'm going to go to New, Google Slides, blank presentation. Now I've talked about this. You can pick any presentation you like. What I want you to start doing now too is looking for other presentations. I want you to start looking around. That's part of one of this assignment is looking around and trying new things. I am not simply telling you to just use these. Oh, he said, just go on and use one of these. You know what? If you go online and you type in like Google slide presentation templates, you can get, and spell it correctly, tons of like free other slide presentations. I want that one. Just click around. And they're awesome. Like you can do stuff like, I don't know, type in like old time. And like, you can make it look like your presentation's old time. And you just basically click on these and like close that and then get the presentation template. So play around, start to explore once you get more familiar with what's going on. All right? Explore. You are designers, and the more you design, the more you practice, the better you'll be. If you just slap in like white background with black text and you're like, yeah, that's great, I'm done, I'll be like, oh boy, this is average. There's no design here. You know, maybe I should have a title page. I'm just going to talk. Like, you should probably have a title page. It says what this is. And I have those examples for you. Let's look at the examples. Nope, that's the project. Sorry. Example 1. I have a great, Elements, shape research by me. And then I have an album cover, a book cover, and a poster. I'm allowed to reuse my own work. That's why that's in there. And as I talked about, we want perfection. All of these are center, they're lined up on their center and they're equally spaced. And the text below it is perfectly, they're all in line with each other and they're centered on each other as well. Doesn't take that long. The computer does it for you. That's the great part. Here I have it broken up and I wanted to do one per page. Really accentuate my design. But as you can see, they're all in line with each other, even across pages. And you can do that. I believe in you guys. It's some practice. So let me pull over some stuff. I'm gonna get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. All right. So I just got to move stuff around so I can do this with you guys. All right. I typed in 1950 movie posters. I don't know. Pick an era. Pick a time. But here's the funny part. I typed in 1950 movies posters, and then I saw this one for Back to the Future, and I was like, that's all shapes. Right? These are all shapes. There's some quote unquote lines, but like this is a triangle. That's a shape. This background, like it's very shape driven. And I was like, that's an awesome one. And then I found, along this one, this is like the background. It's two giant shapes used in this poster. So you can pick either one. And then we right click. I'm going to save image as, and I'm going to save it to my desktop. And it's an AVIF file. So I might have to open that in Photoshop if it doesn't place it. So you got to check files. This is the big part of your job these days, is making sure like the file is correct. Oh, I couldn't put it in. You now with all the like with Photoshop, Illustrator, those two, you can take apart darn near everything in life now. You can go on the internet, download stuff, and like start ripping it apart. And you have the power, like you have all these tools at your hand to get what you want. Say this is it, and I don't feel like messing with that. I can take a screenshot of it. Both Mac and PC have a way to take a screenshot. It's just like the screenshot you do on your phone, but it's on the computer. Take screenshots. Make sure it's big enough. I don't want no low res junk. All right. So dig around, find the one you want. I'll go with this one. And I took a screenshot of it because it's so big and nice. Oh, there's that one. This one, I could right click on that one again. Or then you go down the rabbit hole. I saw this one and you're like, oh boy, look at all this stuff. Look, this is all shape. Look at that. Weird, like start getting into like other countries. The Man Who Knew Too Much. This is the poster for a Hitchcock movie in a different country. Like it just go down the rabbit hole here. Look at shapes. Like shapes are the things that lead you around this design. So dig in and go deep. Start looking around at designs. Like what's out there. Got this cool one. These are 4 shapes, right? They're organic, but they're 4 shapes. I can use that. Save images. Save. The other one I came across, and I want to show you. I really like this, and I know it's a book cover, but I can't quite read it. I'm going to take a screenshot. I'm going to open up Google, And right here on the side, there's this little camera image. Search by image. Upload file. I'm going to grab that picture. Open. And look, from this, it found higher res images of that for me so I can use it. The power of searching. All right. Then I got my presentation, and I've gone over this. I'm going to do it quick. I'm going to pull from my desktop onto my board. I got that one. I got that one. I got to move it over. And I got this one. All right. They're all different sizes right now. So my first thing is I'm going to resize them. And I'm going to grab from the corner only. And what's going to happen, I hope you can see that. I'm going to grab from the corner. And when I'm going, and then see that blue line show up? There's a blue line. It's now telling me, hey, if you stop right here, that image will be the exact same size and height of that other image. Well, heck yeah. Why do it myself? I would never, absolutely never, ever do you do this. I'm going to make the image smaller. That is distorting the image. Oh no, but I can get it pretty good. I can tell you this, you will not get it pretty good. I will call you out and be like, why is your image distorted? All you needed to do was grab it from the corner and it stays perfect. All right. I want to size this one. Just grab it from the corner. Let's see if the blue, there's a blue showed up right here. And it kind of clicks in. You'll notice like it stops for a second, clicks in and keeps going. Now I can use these like this. Now I got 3 images. I can grab all 3 images and I should be able to distribute these. Arrange, distribute horizontally. That's all I did. All right. And now they're perfectly spaced. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't even have to look at it. Now I'm going to grab all 3 again, click and drag. And then I want them centered on the board. There's one. So a red line came up and said, if you stop right there, they're perfectly centered vertically. And if I keep going down, I have the crosshair. That means you are perfectly centered with all of them. Why not use that to your advantage? These are now perfectly centered on the artboard with a perfect spacing in between. And I really didn't have to think about it. I let the computer do all the work. Start letting the computer do all the work. Text. I'm going to make that the size of the book. All right. Why not make it the size of the book? Oh, then you do that stuff. And then a book cover. Oh, I'm typing so low. Delete. So now I can work with that. Do I leave that? Heck no. It's time to maybe center it, right? You can adjust the spacing. You make it bold. If it's too close, I can use the arrow key and tap it up. And right there, perfectly centered. I let the computer do it for me. And then I can copy and paste. If I copy and paste, whoop. Excuse me. Shifted on me. Get that one. Copy, paste. And I'm going to bring this down here. And I'm looking at this distance. Okay, so if I click on that one, it's that distance. I want to make sure these are accurately the same way apart. And then I can pull this. And if I pull it to make it that size, then that's correct. Like it's perfectly centered. And then I album. And I just do the same. Take book cover. This one, I think, can I do the option drag? if you hold down like shift and option, you can just drag straight across and it'll make a duplicate for you in the same line and everything. And then this is movie poster. Boom. Something else I want you to note, cropping. So if I zoom in, and this is the final, if I zoom in, not that much. There's like a white grayish box around that. And I want to clean it up. I want to crop it. It's called cropping. It's this symbol right here. And if you go over, I have these giant cursor, you know, so you guys can see it. But I go over those. It's 2 right angles. And it says underneath, crop image. And I'm going to click on that. And this is just like Instagram, just like all your other programs. I'm going to crop it down to the album. And I'm just going to pull gently. Boom. Wait, I was on the wrong line. It's not letting me grab it. Ugh. So with this giant cursor that I use, the axis goes down like 1,000%. So I can't get in and crop. That did it. But I got one edge cropped. So it's actually far easier if you are doing it on your normal computer. Now it's shifting it. There we go. It just wants to go to the outer. But learn to crop. I'm going to show you how to crop in a different one where I don't have a giant cursor. But cropping will remove the outer stuff that you don't need to see. If you happen to come in with an image and it's got a huge background on it, like this one. Oh, it's a video. Dismissed. Never mind. So start to work. You can start fairly simple, but take a background, take something. And I showed you those examples. And the project shouldn't take that long. Everybody's like, kind of came in. I think I had 2 comments about all the work there is to do. It's finding 3 interesting images, setting them up on a nice, and then, so you're done. And I name this is the other, and setting it up on a nice little image and then putting in, I think it's element 2. All right. So if you spell it right, how do I get this out? I go to File, Download, PDF. Boom. I'm going to double click on that. I'll open that file. And there is my PDF. One and done. Easy, easy. I believe you guys can do this. And you have until like next week, Tuesday. Like once you start rolling on these, they're quick. And then, but it's all about repetition too. It's learning how to use the program. You'll use Google Slides a lot, but all the things you do in Google Slides carry over to the other programs as well. And if you are above and beyond and you're like, I want practice in Illustrator, you can do these in Illustrator. That's actually how I did the examples. Like these were done in Illustrator because I wanted to create this little color forms fun shape. But I did this in Illustrator. It really didn't take me that much longer, but I've been using Illustrator for 30 years. So that's how you do that. Shape project. All right. Illustrator is needed for all the projects. I went over the line one, how to think about expressive line. The emotions are in the assignment. Don't make up your own. Read the full assignment. I always know who doesn't read it because they come across. I'm like, where did you come up with these? And I'm like, it says in the assignment what to do. So make sure you do what's in the assignment. And relax, be freeform. Like, use those tools, use a paintbrush, you can use a pencil tool, use that pen tool, and practice. Try some things out. And that's for the line. I was talking about line. Now, Element, I'm going to download this, download original file. Now, for some of you who work at school, this isn't as great because school has some stuff locked out. But let me teach you something. If you're doing Creative Cloud and you bought a version for your home computer, always open up the Adobe Creative Cloud. I can't show you the, oh, here, maybe down here. It's this symbol, right? It's the base of all the programs. Always have that open. Well, why, Joel? I'll tell you why. Because if you open that and then you open this, within a couple minutes, if you have blanked out text or the text is like in pink, this program will go onto the internet, find the font, and update the font for you. And that only works if you have purchased the student account. Sadly, for the next year, it still doesn't work on the student computers here, which is fine. You can do everything else. It just comes across as a different font. It is not a big deal. All right. Don't fret. But I'm just telling you in advance, like, the more you know, bring. So always open up that Creative Cloud because that syncs everything and make sure you've got everything up to date. It'll tell you if your programs need updating. There's a whole series of updates coming through with programs this week, but it also works with the fonts. I want 3 compositions in which you use these same shapes to create one balanced and one unbalanced composition. Now, as I've talked, please, in the red, examples, turn off or delete. You can just turn off the eyeball. I don't want to see my example. That's me giving you a leg up on the design process. You do your own in this area where it's called your artwork here, that lowest line. Now, shapes. It's like the 3rd or 4th one down. It's usually highlighted with a rectangle tool. Now let me zoom in. Let's talk about some shapes. In Illustrator, I can make a rectangle with the rectangle tool. Now I want solid. So let's go over to properties and I want my fill to be black. And you know what? The stroke, nothing. Just turn that off. Don't even want it. Here on out, every time I draw, I should have a fill of black and a stroke of nothing. Now that's a rectangle. Now I can just rectangle up all over the place. Tall and skinny, long, and then, well, that snaps in. And I'm like, oh, that's a square. You know, that's not a square yet. But if I take the rectangle tool and I hold down the shift key and draw, I get a square. Absolutely perfect square. How do I draw a square? Hold down shift and draw with the rectangle. Click and drag. There you go. Same thing. Ellipse tool. I can draw ovals. I can draw an oval. I can draw an oval. I want a circle. I hold down the shift key. And like with most programs, everything, and I'm assuming everybody's taken some sort of class, I can rotate and then resize. And now if I resize, if I don't hold on shift, it won't remain a square. If I want to resize and constrain, it's called, I hold down the shift. I want a little twist to it. Perfect. Play around. These are the simple tools. I talk about designing with 2 hands. You do need a mouse as a graphic designer or a stylus. I use a stylus, which is a drawing pad. I've used it for like 25 years. I can't not use it. I can't use a mouse. It's a generally well used design tool in graphic design. We don't require them because some are expensive. you can get away with a mouse, but you can't design on a trackpad. If you're at home and you're like, oh, I just need a trackpad, you are going to fail miserably and be frustrated and be like, oh, I can't do graphic design. It's because it wasn't meant for a trackpad on your laptop. You need a mouse where you can click, where you can right click, where you can scroll, and you can grab and hold and use your other hand to hit command keys that help you out. Graphic design is a two-handed job. I have one hand always on my stylus being moved, and my other hand is always hovering over the keyboard. So I can quickly copy, paste, move, shift, option, and I can hit my control keys. You shouldn't be designing with one hand limply losing blood by the side of your body, like as you sit in your chair leaning over. That hand should be up on your desk and using the keyboard. All right. I don't know. I think I went over that. I'll have to see if I went over like how to design properly. I'll go over that next week. So shapes galore. Now you get into some weird ones here. The polygon tool. Well, I always hold shift when I make a shape. Now there's some rad things with the polygon tool. See that if I go over by the edge and there's a plus minus, I can change the amount of sides. And it tells you. So easy. So great. What's that inside thing do? You want rounded edges? You just pull that. So great. So easy. And it does the same thing with the star tool. Star tool has even more fancy stuff. Shift. I can increase the amount of stars. I can pull the inside out, and then you can do the reverse. You know? Infinitely scalable. Try stuff out. Have some fun. Now I want solid black shapes for this. And I want you to use the same shapes on the upper one as you do on the lower one. Now in my example, this is balance. Somebody had this shape and they're like plunk and it's sitting on the edge of a table. That was like in my mind. Nothing, you would have to like push hard to get that to fall off. It is balanced. This is unbalanced. It looks like it's about to fall off the edge. It's unbalanced. It's just a visual play. Nothing's happening, but our minds reference things in life. And then for two shapes, which is a rectangle and a triangle, I can create an emotion that states like, oh gosh, that's about to fall. I'll do a simple one, a fun one. Got this? Whoop. Now, the things I talked about in the other one can also be played around in this one. And here, all that stuff that I just did, copying, moving, all done with the keyboard while my hand was here. I didn't go up and go to copy, paste, start to learn the command keys. And how do you learn them? They're all on the side. Transform again, Control D. Like if you can do something, it lists it right here and how to do it with the keyboard. How do you know when to start learning those? When you realize I'm always going to copy and then to paste. I should just learn how to do copy paste on the keyboard so I never have to move my mouse up here and all the way back down here. Now I've got these three shapes. I can do two things. I can use the computer to get them to intersect and line up perfectly, right? Just like I did in the other one. Watch for those purple lines. Use those purple lines. Start being precise and exact. There's time for sloppy, but here's the thing. In abstract painters, you know, like, oh, you see that stuff, you're like, I know a 5-year-old kid who could paint like that. Those abstract painters generally 90% of the time learn how to paint like realistic still lives first You learn how to do it correct and perfect first, and then you have the tools to abstractly do it and have fun. So this is, I did 3 circles. They're all stacked on each other. They're all lined up. The other way I can line them up is grab all 3, click and drag, go to my properties, and just hit this, center a line. Boop. Now they're perfectly centered. Why not do that? And then I can scroll down. I got a snowman. That's balanced. And then the punk ass kids came by and knocked over my snowman, and it's no longer balanced. It's unbalanced. So think of it, have some fun. Think about like what you can do, teeter-totters, what's balanced, what's unbalanced. Have some fun. And it's just shapes. Shapes up here need to be used down here. And go crazy. But just shapes only. I don't want imagery. I don't want anything. You haven't gotten to that point. I don't want color. You haven't proved enough to me to use color yet. We're just gonna be using black and white for a week or 2. You got to build up the color. They're just like, once you learn how to do stuff in black and white only, then you can move on to color. All right, last but not least, the other design practice. You're going to be doing the exact same thing that you did design practice 1, but this one is in InDesign. So you're going to go, you're going to click on that link, you're going to download it. Beep, boop, boop, beep, boop, beep. There it is. I'm going to open it there. Jessica Walsh. I am on a Mac, so I double click. If you're on a PC, right click and extract all. Then when it extracts it, find that extracted folder and open that. And then I'm going to ignore the Mac OS X. That's not what I want. I want the Jessica Walsh. And I'm going to open that one. And I'm going to click on Jessica Walsh. And it will open up InDesign, which looks similar to Illustrator, but not exact. But all you're doing is the exact same stuff, moving things into place. I can grab this picture and move it there. Now, here's something that's different. There's a little bit more finite to this. If I click on this picture, and as long as I'm like over there, it's fine. If I grab in the middle, I move the image within its clipping box. So do not grab that. See how the hand changed? Now I have to click off of it again and go over it. As long as you see the arrow, you're good. As soon as you see the hand, you're bad. All right. Then you undo, click off of it, click on it again. And it's just having you learn the small details that might be different from one to the other. And grab this Jessica Walsh, put that there. And I'm going to tap it, tap it, tap it, tap it, tap it. Get it up. I'm going to do the same with this text. It should lock right in. I've got these 3 images. I'm going to lock it in. I'm going to take this lower one, have it lock. When I say it locks in, you'll know when you drag it, it like kind of sticks. Now here, this is the great one. Illustrator does this too. InDesign does it. I'm going to get this in. And then see those green lines that show 2 arrows? That right there is telling me, hey, this is centered exactly between those. And I just let go. And then I bring in this box. And I have it go to the bleed. And there I have my piece. Now, everybody gets this one. In InDesign, you export a PDF. You don't save as a PDF. Illustrator, you save as a PDF. You got to learn the difference. You're going to be doing it every day of your life. One is different than the other. Don't talk to me about it. Talk to Adobe products. They've always had this difference. So I'm going to go to File, Export. And then right here, Adobe, like format, Adobe PDF print, not interactive. And then I'm going to pick where you want it to go. And I want it to go to my desktop. user. I hate this. Ugh. I'm going to cancel that for a second. File, export. I'll just do it the downloads. Export, Adobe PDF, save, high quality print. I'm going to do that thing. I'm going to double check. This one, layout, full screen. I'm just going to kind of review everything. Open full screen. View PDF after exporting. Heck yes, I do. Marks and bleed. Everything is turned off. Export. And then boom, there I am. And that's what you turn in for the assignment. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns? Now, throughout the week, and I do check this on the weekend, do not be afraid to use the midweek project review. You send your PDF there during the week and just be like, check this out. I will look at it. I will give you corrections. You make those corrections, you are guaranteed a high grade because you're not just guessing. Did I do this right? You just said, did I do this right? And I'll look at it, type it back, and I'll be like, yeah, you did it right. I check darn near every day. Monday through Fridays, I guarantee I check it. Saturdays and Sundays, a little less. You know, it depends on what I'm doing. It's my weekend. I work during the week, and I do put in some hours on the weekend. I usually get back to you within 24 hours. I generally check these in the morning. So if you upload in the afternoon, just wait till the next day. Work on something else. Get the book reading done. Do something else. It's not texting me where I'm going to like know it right away. Put it up there. Work on something else. I'll get back to you. Hey, why don't you change this? Make sure that's perfectly centered. And you're going to learn and develop to be a great designer by using the midweek project review, making sure your work is great. Then you upload it. And then you just know, like, oh, I know I did it right. I don't have to worry about my grade because he's already checked it and said, turn it in. So use that. It's just a discussion board. So have some fun. Use that. Yeah, any questions, comments, or concerns before we shut down? All right, great. Always reach out to me. If you got anything, hit it up on the discussion board, send me a note, send me a message, whatever. I'm around. Make sure you watch the videos. I upload the videos afterwards. So if you miss something that happened live in class, just rewatch. It's all there for you. So, all right, cool. I will be around. Look forward to talking to you again next week, Tuesday. Take care. Bye-bye.